Would you all excuse me a minute? I need to make a phone call. Hey, Sophie. Yeah. So I'm here at the thing, the award show for the sketchiest man in podcasting. Well, I'm wearing my award robe and I'm carrying my award staff, but it's become clear to me that this is not, in fact, an award. No, that's not what Sketchfest means. Yeah, I know. I was shocked to learn it, too. I think they're expecting me to perform an episode of Behind the Bastards. Yeah. No, this is a real problem. Thankfully, I keep next to my heart a podcast script for emergencies at all times. But we're going to need a guest, and I just don't have anyone booked. Wait a second. Sophie, I'll talk to you later. Hello, 911. Play along. 911. Yeah, we have I'm here at the Gateway Theater, and we've had a horrible attack of airborne syphilis. Start moaning. Come on, give me some moans. Oh yeah, no, it's bad. You need to get a doctor down here immediately. Can we get a doctor sent into the theater? Dr. Kaveh Hoda! Thank you for coming on such short notice, Dr. Hoda.
I heard there was an uncontrollable amount of syphilis here.
That is the case, but we can ignore that. The actual reason I called 911 was because I have a script and I need some help reading it.
Oh, you...
I know. It's not the first time and it won't be the last that I use 911 for my own purposes, but...
Can I take this white coat off? I haven't worn this in like 20 years.
Yes, I'm going to take my robes off.
Okay,
it's actually quite hot up here.
Okay, good.
I'll keep the podcasting staff.
I'll keep the podcasting patriotic knife that you lent me.
Yeah. Now I'm in my much more normal outfit of my shoot dope, fuck the cops hoodie, which I own mainly because wearing this hoodie through the TSA checkpoint is quite a bit of fun. You have a different experience every time in every country. Kaveh, how are you doing today?
Man, I am so glad to be here. There's nobody and no crowd I would rather get an airborne disease from than you.
Oh, no. This is, of all the crowds to get an airborne disease from, this is in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, that area over there is particularly questionable over there. I find they definitely have something, and it's okay because it's worth it. I think this is worth the risk.
Speaking of people who probably have some sort of disease... Actually, I say that. I kind of brought you all here on false pretenses because normally this is a podcast about the very worst people in all of history, but every now and then we talk about a hero. And today we're talking about the man who might be my hero. Do you know who Brian Johnson is?
No.
Well, he might be better known by his other name, the Liver King.
Oh, that son of a bitch!
Oh yeah. We got a lot of videos. We got a lot of videos queued up for you, motherfuckers. So strap in.
Okay, wait. First of all, let me explain to the crowd who may not know me, even though I am a San Franciscan, and you should fucking know me by now. But
it is a small town.
It is a small town. But I am a liver doctor. I am a GI and hepatologist. So the fact that some guy had the gall to call himself the Liver King when I was a fucking around is appalling.
It is. There's a lot that will be appalling about this episode. But Kaveh, we got to get into it because time is of the essence.
Yeah, I understand.
So Brian Johnson, which is the Liver King's real name, was born on April 7th, 1977 in San Antonio, Texas. Probably. Basically, all the information we have on this guy about his early life comes from interviews that he gave or comments he made on various grindset influencer podcasts. He is a professional liar, so this should all be taken with a grain of salt. Now, Brian has claimed that his father died when he was young, which left him without strong male guidance for years and contributed to feelings of insecurity that were exacerbated by the bullying of other kids at his school. That may or may not be true. There's some speculation on Reddit that he had family money as the result of a furniture store, and there is a prominent Texas, Louisiana furniture chain named Johnson, but that's also a pretty common name.
He seems like he'd be involved with like wood.
It seems like there's wood. He does have
the
skin texture of a nice piece of cured oak. So, Brian himself makes two claims about his childhood. The first is that he was bullied constantly. He describes his life as a kid as a living hell, adding, "I was the only one of my kind at my school." I think that means short person, which doesn't seem likely. To make matters worse for myself, I was undersized. I looked funny. I didn't have a single friend, and I had absolutely no concept of self-worth. With Che, I got bullied too as a kid. That does sound rough. He says that he got beat up a lot. But he also, again, I don't know how much to believe this guy's claims. But the other thing that he claimed that he makes about his childhood is that he was an entrepreneur from a very young age. He recalls as one of his formative events going door to door to sell newspapers with his friend Peter. I'm going to quote from Brian here. "I remember Peter's pitch. He would knock on the door and go, 'Excuse me, ma'am, you're currently subscribed to the San Antonio Light. We would like for you to renew your subscription. All you have to do is pay for Sunday.' They'd say, 'Oh, hey, you've caught me. This isn't going to work out. We're not going to renew.' And Peter would say, 'Ma'am, can we come in and get a glass of water?' And then he'd say, 'Ma'am, we're little kids. We're just trying to make a buck. Do you think you could help us out?' And almost all of the time it worked out. So there you go.
Yeah. From a start. Can we stop for a second? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of paper in your hand.
It is a lot of paper.
Are we doing all of that tonight?
No, I printed 2 copies in case I lost one.
Okay, good.
I drink very heavily at the airports.
Oh, my goodness.
I got it because I fly. Yeah.
You fly, I know.
Mm-hmm. There's only one way to fly, and that's hammered.
Yeah.
So, if Brian is a reliable source on his life, and he is not, at some point in his adolescence, he started lifting weights. He tells a few versions of this story. In one, he was bullied, but the fact that he was bullied was a good thing. And this is something that he says because it acted as a catalyst that allowed him to impose his will, his words, on his body by lifting weights. Which is an odd way to describe getting in shape, but I guess,
So he was a bully.
Yeah, my guess is that maybe some of this was turned around in reality.
And he was like, I was helping those other kids by bullying them.
You're not going to feel less like that after this quote, because here's what he says about getting jacked as a teenager. "That was my rite of passage, and it changed me and forged me into the evolutionary hunter, the unrelenting fighter, the serial ancestral entrepreneur that I am today."
Because everyone knows the cavemen were out there making fields, hustling. That's how the cavemen worked, man.
The reason the cavemen beat the Neanderthals is they were better at getting VC funding. Everyone in San Francisco knows that.
Yeah.
Obviously. So the other more believable version of the story is that his mom started dating a guy who had a weight set, and Brian started using it and got results. So this guy bought him a bench and some weights, and that was it. Soon Brian was jacked, and he noticed that girls at school started paying more attention to him. Instead of making fun of him, other boys were jealous. The defining moment of his adolescence, bear with me here, was when one of his friends compared him to Mark Wahlberg, a statement that he says probably changed my life forever. And
wow.
You shouldn't want to be be compared to Mark Wahlberg.
I mean, that's like a low bar.
No, look, I'm very pro people, getting fit if that's what they want to do. But don't be like Mark Wahlberg. Nobody needs. Mark Wahlberg should be less like Mark Wahlberg. We have one photo of him from his late teens or early 20s, and he is indeed quite swole. The photo shows him standing beside a swimming pool of what I'd guess is a fairly large house in the North Texas suburbs. Savor this last photo of him. Well, that's a normal, he's in good shape, but he doesn't look, that's not like a guy who's on a shitload of gear or anything.
He's not, he's clearly has no, hair on his body, which I find weird.
Yeah. I mean, that is a little bit odd, but I grew up in Texas, too. I get it. You got to do what you got to do to stay cool down there.
Okay.
But that's, he's in very good shape, but he's a pretty normal-looking person, I would say. Obviously extremely fit, but not as he will become someone who is very clearly putting a car worth of steroids into his body every single month. So after he got swole, Brian started taking school more seriously. He got into Texas Tech, a pretty good school, where he got pretty good grades. He got a degree in biochemistry, or as he said it in another interview, a degree in biology and chemistry. I think it is a biochem BS. So he got his bachelor's. He said he was gunning for a medical degree at some point, and in one interview with BuzzFeed, he claimed that he got into a medical school but dropped out during orientation.
No.
Is that a thing?
No.
That's not a thing.
No,
okay, that's good.
No, that's not a thing.
This is journalism. We're doing research live in the theater.
No, you don't do that. I mean, you drop out later, but you don't drop out during orientation. You stick around and you have the parties and you go through the whole thing and you tell undergrads, I'm in medical school, and then later you drop out, but you don't like do it during orientation. That's just a waste.
He's a serial liar. And he claims that at age 21, he says he started working for the pharmaceutical industry as a sales rep. He says they scouted him. This is all questionable. I don't know. But, he says his career as a pharmaceutical sales rep quickly led to a lucrative 6-figure salary, which is possible. And if it's possible, there's only one product I think he was probably pushing in those years, given the time.
For sure. This guy was selling dick pills.
Oh, dick pills. I was going to say opiates.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure he did that too. Yep. Wait, can I ask you a question real quick?
Absolutely.
So he came from, would you say modest means, or would you say?
I think he came from like an upper middle class to like rich background, but it is unclear.
Okay, just real quick, hold on a second.
All of the early photos of him, like...
wait, I'm sorry, hold on. There's a bingo
card.
Did you guys bring your card?
Unbelievable.
Oh.
Slackers.
Weak fans.
The Liver King would never.
Hold on a second. Someone born on 3rd pretending they're self-made. Sorry, I'm just checking that off right now because I feel like that one is going to go down.
Yeah, having come from a similar area to where this photo was taken, that's not a tiny house backyard.
Yeah, it's a pool.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
sorry, go on.
Those are more common in Texas, but yeah, I'm going to guess upper middle class at least. So Brian meets Barbara, his future wife, in 2004. Maybe. He's going to lie a lot about the year 2004, so keep that in your head. Now, he says he was a pretty aimless guy at this point. He was snowboarding and surfing and, by his own admission, refusing to flush toilets in public restrooms. I don't know why he gives that detail. But he does.
Dude, because there's a drought, and because he fucking cares.
There was,
and his
no one in Texas has ever
really
acted
weird.
as if there's a drought. That is not something we do. I can remember the last summer I was there, it didn't rain for 80 days and had like more than 115 degree temperatures for each of those days, and everyone's lawn was green. Some of them were on fire, but they were green. So he meets this broad, Barbara, in maybe around 2004, and he says that this is what convinced him to get more serious about his life. And I do think she had an influence on him. Most sources will note that she was a dentist, which is kind of true, but not all the way true. Because what she actually is a holistic dentist. Yeah, that's the good stuff. Everybody's tasting that, getting that flavor in, huh? Yeah. So they open a practice together. He's her business manager, and she handled the dentistry. Now, Kaveh, I know what you're wondering right now.
Yeah.
What is a holistic dentist?
Yeah, I absolutely am.
It means treating your patient's teeth and gums with a whole body approach, viewing their overall physical and psychological state rather than just keeping your eyes on their mouth. Now, that could be a thing.
Yeah.
It might be a thing.
No.
There's stuff where, like, tooth pain, like, can be a sign of a heart attack or something. It can be referred, right? Like, that's a thing. I learned that on Frasier. Are you going to tell me that Niles Crane lied to me?
You're thinking, like, left arm pain. Tooth pain, not so much. Tooth pain usually is like cavity.
That's not what season 5 of Frasier said.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go against frickin' Frasier, that fucking guy.
So, this might make casual sense, but no, holistic dentistry is more or less nonsense. So here's the thing. A holistic dentist is not an actual professional medical term. It is a term any dentist can choose to call themselves without any additional formal training. Most holistic dentists oppose the use of fluoridated toothpaste, which is dumb and unscientific. They also have a tendency to urge patients to replace cavity fillings made with amalgam on the logic that contains mercury and is unhealthy. Now, amalgam has been replaced by a lot of dentists with better options, but all dentists will agree that if you have perfectly good fillings, it is unethical for someone to tell you to take those out and put in new ones for no reason, which is what holistic dentists do a lot. It's not great. Now, more fucked up is the fact that holistic dentists tend to obsess over stuff like detoxification, which is not a thing, and urge their patients to take up weird bespoke diets to fix their teeth. Traditionally, vegan diets were advised, which is at least probably not unhealthy. You can have a perfectly healthy vegan diet.
Yeah.
But nowadays, a lot of them them have gone for the carnivore diet, which is a little bit more problematic.
Let me just real quick. Hold on. I wasn't expecting to get to this so early in the episode.
Okay. What are we hitting?
Unqualified medical advice. And I'm just going to just get this one out of the way now. Makes Kaveh sad.
Yep. Oh, this next one's going to make you a lot sadder, because I want to quote from an article on holistic dentistry by McGill University, who you guys might remember from the CIA episodes. That's exactly right. That's where all those horrible experiments were held.
You're good. You're whoever that was. You're getting this. If I get the.
We're hitting them all today, baby. These practitioners don't believe in doing root canals, alleging serious health risk by sealing bacteria at root end while opting for ineffective therapy or extraction. Some recommend removing perfectly functional, asymptomatic teeth with root canals and replacing them with more biocompatible and costly implants.
No.
That's problematic. Now, I don't know precisely what kind of woo shit Barbara got into, but based on the information we have, I kind of suspect that Brian's interest in alternative medicine starts when they get married, because she is professionally into it, and he's going to get increasingly into it as he grows older. Now, about 5 years in, Brian and Barbara owned the building that their practice was in, and they were making, by Brian's claims, about $5 million a year in revenue from this and a couple of other businesses that Brian had started. We don't know what all of those businesses were, but by the late aughts, he had started selling nutritional supplements. Now, that's an industry that never causes bastards, right? The supplement industry, it's well regulated. It's not entirely a con run by the state of Utah. It's all good stuff.
Sarcasm. That's sarcasm. I know. I've seen it.
Brian's primary business was ancestral supplements, and it seems to have started in 2016, although the first Wayback Machine capture of it's in 2017. And, one sec. There we go. Can we get that picture up? There we go. So, this is what they're selling. These are pills of grass-fed beef organs. Now...
From New Zealand.
Well, of course, the best cows come from New Zealand, and the best organs come from the best cows, and the best way to eat organs is in a pill. That's how I eat my organs. So this product was billed as a way to get the massive health benefits of eating organ meat without chowing down on all of those pesky organs. Here is how the website described the benefits of eating organs. Traditional peoples, Native Americans, and early ancestral healers knew that eating the organs from a healthy animal would strengthen and support the health of the corresponding organ of the individual. For instance, the traditional way of treating a person with a weak heart was to feed the person the heart of a healthy animal. Similarly, eating the kidneys of a healthy animal was believed to support urinary ailments and overall kidney health. Pancreas was fed to people with digestive problems, and spleen was fed to people with immune and blood deficiencies. What?
So... People.
How many organs should I be eating every day, is my question, Kaveh.
This is what I'm going to, for a moment, if I could have a real moment with you for a little education on something. Whenever you hear a medical type thing, whether it's like Gwyneth Paltrow or the Liver King, and they use the words ancestral or ancient, and they're trying to sell you something, it is automatically known to be bullshit. It is like the top tower, bullshit tower.
Probably isn't ancestral.
It is not ancestral. It's not. It's not. I mean, that is a selling point that drives me fucking crazy every time I hear it.
Yeah, the reality, like organ meats have a lot of valuable nutrients in them, but also eating a ton of meat has a lot of health consequences to you as well.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get into this fucking ad nauseum, but an all meat diet is not what I would recommend.
You say that, but I have a quote here about how all of this nourishing tradition is backed by science. And this is a very sciencey quote. Radioisotopic labeling studies in animals have shown conclusively that, when eaten, organs and glands selectively travel to the corresponding organs and glands in high concentrations.
That's such
Now, Kaveh, this research done at the University of Scotland in Edinburgh lends credence to the ancient practice of eating animal organs to help ensure health in one's corresponding organs. And that's from Dr. Ron Schmidt, ND.
Never heard of him. It's absolute horseshit.
Oh, do you not know what an ND is?
I've heard of it, and you're making me so sad, so angry, and it's just... You know, I swear, it's not all. I mean, I could have made so much more money.
You could have made a lot more. We both could have made a lot more money.
It's not
my
too late,
my retirement plan is to just say I've been canceled and start working for, I don't know, Steven Crowder or somebody. So, Kaveh, would it help you out to know that Dr. Ron Schmidt was a naturopath and militant raw milk activist?
That makes sense.
I found his obituary from 2017. And it notes, he covered in depth the difficult history of raw milk in the U.S., arguing that even though raw milk was responsible for many illnesses during the 1800s and early 1900s, it was also unfairly savaged by the emerging pasteurized milk industry to eliminate raw milk as a competitive threat.
Yeah.
Look, yes, thousands of babies shat themselves to death, but, what about the pasteurized milk industry? What about Big Milk? So the first version of the Ancestral Supplements website doesn't make a huge deal about liver, but it does call it the body's superfood and nature's, this is funny, only meaningful source of vitamin A. You can't get it anywhere else if you're not eating liver. Now, tomatoes, kale, eggs, cantaloupe, and fish oils, that's not a comprehensive list.
Never heard of them.
All have a lot of vitamin A in them. Carrots have beta-carotene, which is a precursor to vitamin A. More to the point, vitamin A deficiency is a serious health condition, but it pretty much doesn't exist in the United States, outside of weirdos who have weird diets. Not all weird. Some people, obviously, there's actual health conditions, but it's extremely uncommon.
Rare.
It's more of a thing in like parts of the world that have less access to a good food supply, and people are like legitimately starving.
I don't like it when you know medicine like that well.
I know lots of medicine.
I feel uncomfortable when you're like right about certain stuff.
I'm an expert on all sorts of medicine stuff.
I fucking hate to. Yes, sorry.
I am a reverend doctor, according to the state of New Jersey.
I am an actual doctor who is ordained in the Universal Life Church. I am a reverend doctor. This guy is just a fucking podcaster.
Well, I will just say, have Kaveh sign an autograph for you after the show, and then just write Vicodin on that fucker, and you're good to go.
He found the loophole.
That's probably how it works, right? Yeah. Anyway, so obviously vitamin A deficiency is serious when it exists, but it basically doesn't exist in the United States. That said, eating too much vitamin A can cause horrible health problems. This is almost impossible to do if you are a person who eats a diet that is vaguely recognizable as a normal diet. Again, if you're getting your vitamin A the place most people get it from, fruits and vegetables and like eggs and stuff, you're not going to get too much vitamin A. Vitamin A, like overdoses, occur exclusively in people who take too many supplements. And symptoms can include migraines, blurred vision, nausea, dizziness, and a lack of coordination because your nervous system starts to kill itself. Ish. That's broadly accurate.
Yeah, that's like a board question. Good job.
So, despite all this, Brian's business was a huge success. He entered the supplement game just at the height of Alex Jones's business, and he seems to have taken some notes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, we're hitting them all, baby.
I don't want him to see, but you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see. And for people listening at home, sorry.
You know what? I also want to state, normally we'll be obviously putting this up on the podcast feed. Normally we do ad breaks, and this is where the ad break will go. But since y'all aren't going to hear an ad, I'm going to give you an ad I wasn't paid for a product that this is just for a thing I think people should buy. So this is called a Flipper Zero. Has anybody ever heard of these motherfucking things? So
You're on
this is a device that lets you basically like scan and replicate infrared and other kind of different like signals that like remotes and stuff use. So one thing you can do with this is say you're at CES and say you are harassing the representatives at their booth. You can, from your pocket, repeatedly turn off all of their televisions. Theoretically, someone could do this. Another thing you can theoretically do with the Flipper Zero, available now on Amazon.com.
Can I tell you?
Is open the charging ports of every on every street you walk past.
That's what he does to my car.
These are all things you can theoretically do with the Flipper Zero.
That's what he uses it for, just to fuck with my car.
People have also figured out how to use them to shut off those robot dogs. So they're pretty cool, and they're not going to be legal forever. Pick one up if you can. Back to the show. So, Brian's business is a huge hit. And yeah, one of the key things about if you're selling these kind of health products is you have to either terrify people into believing that your products are the only thing that will stop their body from falling apart, or you have to convince them that you alone can give them the body of their dreams. Now, Brian knew that if he wanted to take his business to the next level, he was going to have to do one of these things. So he decided to do both. In early 2021, thereabouts, Brian contacted 1DS Collective, which is a social media marketing firm for influencers. Now, because these are some of the worst people on planet Earth, they describe their business as, quote, a collective of global creatives who specialize in social snackable media. Does anyone else get like a visceral gut reaction when you hear snackable media? It's unreal. Great folks. It was from this collaboration that the idea of the Liver King would be born. One BuzzFeed article explains, he approached us because he wanted guidance, said Sam Parham, a director at influencer marketing and management agency 1DS Collective, which specializes in video production and brand management for social media. 1DS began filming the brand of Liver King, creating short-form video content to capture Johnson's extreme lifestyle. Johnson and 1DS have maintained that their primary goal in building a Liver King social media brand was to spread the ancestral message rather than to sell Johnson's products. 1DS called Johnson the leader of the ship and solely responsible for his likeness and brand, which is a good legal idea. Now, the ancestral message here was that people needed to eat hoof to tail. This is fine. Like, look, I raise and slaughter livestock. Yeah. If you're going to be doing that, you should, in fact, use every single part of that animal. Sure. That's a fine idea in practice. But what Brian is doing is just trying to get people to buy supplements made from ground-up organs he bought cast off from cattle somewhere. The stroke of brilliance that 1DS had was to convince people organ meat was good for them by having a massively jacked dude eat raw liver and guts on camera repeatedly, and then credit that for his giant muscles. Now, again, the organ meat's perfectly healthy. There's a lot of good reasons to eat it, but it doesn't work that. It doesn't just magically make you jacked. There is nothing that is particularly healthy about it. Brian had, up to this point, built his physique the way most muscular men do. He had eaten huge amounts of whey protein and lean meat while working out, right? And, careful about his diet, not drinking, all that good stuff. But 1DS decided if Brian, the thing to do was to have Brian chow down on raw organs, and that would make people want to copy him, right? But eating raw organs sucks, so when they couldn't do that, then they would buy his supplements. That's the business plan, right? It is unclear who came up with the name Liver King. There's evidence that Brian had used the name in emails for a couple of years, so probably him. But the folks at 1DS figured out everything else, including naming his fandom before it existed, as this case study from their website makes clear. Can we get the next image? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, I'm going to point something out. If y'all aren't real steroid heads, what you got going on there in the belly region is what they call bubble gut, and it's a mix of taking human growth hormone with usually insulin. It's a thing bodybuilders do. It helps them pump up and stuff, but it's not a thing that just happens normally. Those are not normal. If their abs look like they are smuggling boa constrictors under their skin.
What would you call those areas right there on the exterior of his six-pack?
Well, those are normally your obliques.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else do people call those?
Oh, on the other side of his abs?
No, that area right there, that deep area in which there could pool fluid, for example. What would you call that?
I don't know, Kaveh. What?
Cum gutters, thank you! For fuck's sake!
I can't believe it.
I'm sorry, it wasn't a guy playing a guitar in a weird, church.
I only recognize cum gutters if they make me want to come.
Right,
so.
Right. That's
obviously David Koresh.
As a doctor, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't want you to look like that. I don't. No, that's not normal.
This is not. Anyway, look. So I think it's interesting to look at the way they talk about this here. They name what he's going to call his fan base as primals because he's doing this whole back to nature caveman eating thing. So that's what he's going to call his people. The way in which this is all laid out, if you want to really lose your faith or just get angry at humanity, go to the 1DS website and look at their whole plan for making the Liver King a brand phenomenon. Because we'll talk about this more, but part of what they're doing here is everybody's agreeing to make money by having this man destroy his heart, which is, I don't feel that sympathetic for Brian, but that is what's happening here. So 1DS does not brag about this on their website, but one of the things that Brian had to set up before he became the Liver King was a backstory as fraudulent as it was convincing to the kind of people who make healthcare decisions based on what a large man with a TikTok tells them. So he decided to do this by claiming his sons had suffered largely unspecified health problems. He claims that they started having allergies around 2004. Now, this is odd because his oldest son, Stryker, with a Y. Just wait. You haven't even heard a son's name yet. His oldest son, Stryker, is 15, and his youngest son, Rad, is 13.
It would only be better.
Stryker and Rad.
It would only be better if one of his kids was named like Killer.
Look, I gotta say it right now. This is San Francisco, so it's appropriate to do it. I am taking away Elon Musk's worst at naming a baby trophy. I would rather have whatever fucking. There we go. Oh, we're on there too. I would rather be named whatever weird equation his kid is named than Stryker or Rad.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Rad. So Rad's not bad.
Again, he's lying about this because he says that like they started having allergies when they were like in around 2004. Stryker's 15. This would mean that like his oldest son wasn't. None of the timeline actually like works out here. And the fact that he lies about the timeline is consistent with the fact that he lies about everything. He doesn't meet his wife until 2004, so there's no way he would have had a kid old enough that he was noticing this problem. Anyway, as he claims, Stryker, spelled like the armored personnel carrier, had serious health problems as a young kid that Brian attributed to. Do you know what PANDAS is? PANDAS?
Oh boy, God damn, you're making me go way back into pediatrics. I don't do pediatrics.
Yeah,
I vaguely remember it.
We're going to try not to get too much into the weeds here. It is an ailment that may or may not exist. The symptoms definitely exist. There's a debate as to whether or not it should be categorized in the way that some people categorize it. A pediatrician first described PANDAS clinically in 1998, and it was an attempt to explain that there seems to be an association between strep throat, OCD, and tic disorders like Tourette's syndrome. Doctors have for a very long time recognized some connection between streptococcal infection and tremors or convulsions. This is what people, St. Vitus's dance was like. This is a thing that has been recognized for a while, and some parents notice it occurring alongside a rapid change in personality on behalf of the child. Doctors who are skeptical of PANDAS as a diagnosis will note that stuff like OCD can seem like it comes on suddenly and changes a kid's personality, and that since kids get strep throat like crazy, the fact that some of these kids have strep diagnoses recently doesn't mean there's a causative relation. This is all heavily debated. I'm not taking a side on this one way or the other. There's a legitimate debate here. You can find scientists and doctors talking on both sides of this. But the problem occurs because a group of activist parents have kind of latched on to PANDAS as a way to explain any behavior they find problematic in their kid. In various naturopathic websites and discussion forums, the list of triggers for PANDAS has grown from strep, which is the thing that there's some evidence for, to Lyme disease, mono, and herpes. They've also added anorexia, autism, and ADHD to the list of illnesses it causes, and there's no scientific basis for this. These parents are well known for embracing bizarre cult remedies. Some of them give their kids rituximab, which is an immunosuppressant mostly used for cancer patients, and you probably shouldn't give your kid just because they have like a tick.
No, it's a whole thing to get that medicine.
Probably shouldn't just be handing that to kids. This can kill children and has in the past. More often, the prescriptions are just ridiculous. One Oklahoma-based company sells donkey milk as a PANDAS treatment.
That makes sense.
Which is okay. I'm fine with that. Give your kids donkey milk. Yeah. That's all right.
I mean, that's like the least awful thing that these people are doing.
That's probably not going to do any harm.
Right.
Give them some donkey milk. They'll be okay. So Brian claims that his son's Stryker's PANDAS eventually got so bad that he walked up to his dad with a baseball bat and said he wanted to bash his brains in rather than deal with intrusive thoughts. Now that's a serious thing. I have a loved one who has intrusive thoughts as a result of OCD, and this specific anecdote is the closest to a thing Brian has said that I believe. Like, that is a thing that occurs. That doesn't mean that it's caused by pandas or whatever, and it doesn't mean that the rest of what he says is true, but that is a thing that happens. In videos made since he became the Liver King, Brian claims this is what prompted him to reevaluate everything he knew about nutrition. He was feeding his kids a normal American diet, but when he switched their and the family's diet to primal foods, mostly a mix of raw organs, bone marrow, and maple syrup, all of their... What? That's not what you guys eat?
The maple syrup helps it go down.
And this is where things get problematic for Brian. He says all of their health problems start, and his children started to have a personality, which is kind of an offensive way to refer to somebody who has OCD. Now, this leaves us with one of two possibilities. The first is that Stryker had an actual health problem. And
I
Brian
love that every time you say it, a little part of you dies.
It's rough. It hurts. The first is that this kid had an actual serious health problem and that his dad is choosing to use it for propaganda, which is bad. The second is that he made all of this up. And that, I don't know if that's worse. I guess it's better because the kid's not dealing with the thing, but also it's kind of worse morally, right? I don't know. I actually have no idea. That's one for the philosophers. So if we assume Stryker had to be at least 8 or 9 to express something like the complex emotion he expressed to his dad in that anecdote, the earliest realistically this could have happened is 2014 or 15. The last real thing Brian Johnson had to do after coming up with this probably lie about his children was the simplest, which was to get a gigantic barbarian warrior body. Now, as you guys saw, he's a pretty fit dude. That's a swole fella right there. But normal guy muscular does not look impressive today in a world with, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? It is one of those, if you want to look at how body image standards for male action stars in movies have changed, watch... This is a problematic movie in a number of ways, but watch the second Indiana Jones movie. Mm-hmm. If you look at if you listen to the behind-the-scenes commentary, Harrison Ford spent months getting in shape for that, and was like one of the swollest men in Hollywood.
Wait, are you talking about which one was this? Is it the super racist one?
The super racist one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the super racist one.
There was the super racist. And then there's the super racist one. Okay.
That is the, yeah.
That one, the super racist one.
He is supposed to be jacked in that, and obviously he became a sex symbol for generations of men and women. But today, if you were casting a guy with that body type in a Hollywood movie, he would be like the engineer. He'd be like the nerdy guy on the computer.
Look
while
at
the dude's 7 times his body weight.
Like the old Superman was a guy who had basically kind of a barrel for a body.
Yeah, kind of like a fit dude. Yeah. Things have changed over time. We'll be talking about this more later. So Brian could not simply be a fit guy and tell people to eat raw organs. That's not going to work. So he starts using the millions of dollars he has to find one of the many friendly steroid doctors who would prescribe him a dizzying cocktail of peptides and hormones. Now, I want to note this is not an illegal process. He has a prescription for everything that he gets, and this is not a haphazard process. He's getting his blood tested. He's getting all sorts of different, constantly. He is paying millions of dollars over time for this.
You don't get this without going through a machine. There's a whole machine behind you to get this ridiculous body.
And we know exactly what he took and did because he sent a list of his workout regimen, of his steroid regimen, and his blood tests to several experts he didn't wind up working with, and one of them later published it, because if you're trying to ask
Are my kidneys okay? Look at it. Yeah. He's like, are my kidneys all right? Look at this. Are you okay with this?
His problem was more that he didn't think he was big enough.
That's great.
So obviously, this is not a HIPAA violation, because if you just email your steroid history to a dude with a bodybuilding YouTube, HIPAA does not cover that. The dude with the YouTube is well within his rights to post that shit. Because of this, we know that the bill for his HGH alone was $11,000 a month. Now, that's a lot of HGH. He spent about $15,000 a month in total on his steroids, preparing to become the Liver King. But when he and 1DS finally revealed the Liver King to the world, my God, it was glorious. And I want to roll a video for you beautiful people.
When you realize that people are suffering and struggling and that there's a simple, elegant solution, a return to ancestral living, that's really what my purpose is now. there's this really simple way of living. It's ancestral living. It's the way that we've lived for millions of years. It's accessible. It's something you can literally do right now, today, and you can have it impact and change your life tomorrow. This is why my life's work is my mission, is my purpose. It's putting back in what the modern world left out.
Now, a lot of people don't know this, but in the ruins of Göbekli Tepe, where some of the earliest human civilization was found, the largest building in the center of that town was a steroid factory. There's nothing more ancestral than spending $15,000 a month on a mix of peptides and human growth hormone. Just like our ancestors.
Just like our ancestors did. You know our ancestors looked nothing like that, right? They were
of course not.
They
Nobody
were tiny
looks like
and
that.
thin, and they were frail, and they were sickly, and they were lived to 20. Yeah. This is, you don't want to get what our ancestors have. You want what we have now. You don't want what our ancestors have. It was bad. It was bad.
I don't know. I want that one plant that the Romans had that makes you not able to make babies that they then fuck to death. Oh, yeah, Silphium. Yeah, that's a thing. Romans had access to a perfect
contraceptive. How the fuck do you all know that? What the
It's one of my favorite stories. It just grew in this one island, and if you eat it, then you're not fertile temporarily. It was a perfect contraceptive, and they fucked it to death.
Holy
it's amazing.
Shit, this is an educated audience.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I think it's a phenyl relative, actually. Don't quote me on that one, though.
The fuck?
So...
I know a lot of shit. I learned a lot of shit in medical school. I did not learn that. Learn that.
That video does feature a man who is very obviously on a lot of steroids. Unlike a used car per month a nice used car. You could be getting a fucking Highlander with 80,000 miles on it every month for that much steroids.
So oddly specific. I love that.
I'm looking for a new car. Anyway.
I love that.
But it doesn't do much to lay into the name Liver King. Mostly at the start, Brian was posting workout videos and his ancestral tenets, which he claims are crucial lessons about health and wellness from ancient men. Most of them are pretty reasonable, it's good to walk around barefoot in the grass. It's nice to spend time with your family. There is a crazy one about how electromagnetic waves from your Wi-Fi are going to destroy you.
Yeah.
We could get into that more. I think he legitimately believes it, so we won't harp on the matter. So...
Yeah, it's not fun if he believes it.
It's not as much fun. Yeah, so he started, so it started out just kind of being here's his workouts, here's him talking about you should spend time with your family, it's good to exercise. But then none of that stuff goes super viral. He's not really making a big impact on social media. And then he starts posting his meals, which inevitably included weird things like raw testicles and ground up organs. Here's the very first food TikTok he puts out.
Oh, yeah.
Liver King here.
Oh, yeah.
This is what Liver King eats for Tuesday dinner. We got 10 ounces of fresh ground organs, liver, heart, pancreas, spleen, and some muscle meat. We got a couple ounces of some chicken heart, some leftover Iberico pork sausage, and a couple ounces of raw testicle. That completes what I'm having for dinner tonight. That's it.
So, I've watched a lot of The Liver King, and the argument he will make is that if you're trying to support your testicles, vegetables won't do it, because vegetables are not made of testicles. If you want to support your testicles, you have to eat testicles. It's the only thing that'll do it.
The math is pretty strong.
The science is hard to deny. Yeah. So this stuff starts to get traction. But you will notice that that video, which is from September of 2021, that's weird, but that's not an abnormal quantity of food, especially not for a man of that size. That's a pretty normal sized meal, right? The people at 1DS knew right away, look, people like the raw organs, but just eating an amount of raw organs that's vaguely reasonable, that's not going to do it for us. So here's a video he posted 9 months later in the summer of 2022.
Primals. What a day it has been. I can't wait to share all about it. This may be perhaps the most important conversation that I ever have had. And it's named not after a day of the week, but of something similar. But a king has got to eat. So you already know we're going to start with liver, with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because liver is king. We got a couple of pieces of bone marrow right here. We're going to scoop the pure marrow right out of it. And look at these dino shanks. I said, look at these dino shanks. We got some bone marrow risotto at the bottom. And why would you eat a vegetable when you could get down and devour this testicle? And we got some carbs.
Why would you eat a vegetable when you could devour these testicles? That's catchy. Look.
Wait, hold on. Is he doing this because he knows nobody wants to eat balls and so they'll buy his pills? Or is like,
First off, they can be okay if you cook them right. It can be a little bit like bacon.
Rocky Mountain.
Yeah. But that said, yes, the idea is that people will see his body and they'll see him eating this raw meat and they'll probably try it and then be like, you know what sucks is eating huge quantities of raw organs.
We'll take your pill.
I'll take these pills, right? That is the business plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. And people share videos of him looking like a maniac eating all of this stuff. And from this video, things start to get gradually more unhinged. The height of which is probably this video of the Liver King. You know what? I'm not even going to describe it. Let's just play this motherfucker.
What up, primals? Liver King always earns what he eats. This is called earning it.
Wait, what? Should I explain to the people?
No.
Wow.
Let him just take this one in.
Here we go, right here. And this is the prime testicle. Wait for it. Looking out.
Hey everybody, Robert here, speaking from a couple of months after this was recorded. In a live show, obviously, we didn't need to describe this, but I feel the need to describe the video to you listening at home in the podcast version. It is video of the Liver King sitting in a pool tube type deal, or a tire, I think it is. And he's pulling his truck towards him. I think they've got it in neutral, and he's got a big rope pulling it towards him. And hanging underneath the truck is a set of what are technically truck nuts, but they're just the actual severed testicles of a bull or some other kind of large mammal.
Now look.
On my bingo card, I just want to cross makes Kaveh sad again a couple times.
Look,
I just want to black it all out. Hold on a second. I'm just going to draw the whole thing in.
I'm a fair man. That is legitimately funny. That's not a bad bit. I'm sorry, it's not. It's gross, yes, unsettling, bad health advice, all of those things, not a bad bit.
Those are giant balls.
They're they're about normal.
What were they, cows?
Just a couple of days ago, we slaughtered a black ram over at my place, and it had testicles about
that big.
Yeah, they get huge.
They were giant.
So if you've got a steer, or you've got a goat or a ram of any kind, all they are is a testicle delivery machine. So the balls are massive.
You are a fascinating man.
You just can't not notice it. They got huge. Even my sweet little baby, pygmy or whatever, miniature, I don't know what goat. Little bitty guy. I forget the name of his species. But he has massive balls. He's like the size of a small dog, but his testicles are as big as a cat. Not a cat's, but a cat.
Goats were domesticated in Iran, just so you know.
My goats are Angoras from Ankawa.
Fantastic. Sorry.
Yeah, that's where the name Angora comes from, is Ankawa.
Yeah. There's an Iranian in the audience. You proved that.
So, that was a fun little derailment there. The Liver King is almost as obsessed with testicles as he is with liver. And actually, I got to that about him fueling your balls. Nonsense or not, his following exploded the more gross, weird, raw organs he eats and the more off-putting workouts he filmed himself doing. His TikTok goes from basically nothing, because he didn't have one, to about 4 million followers in less than a year. His YouTube hits more than 250,000 subscribers, which is, okay. He had 1.5 million followers on Instagram, and in no time at all, he's a bona fide e-celebrity. That's about a combined 7-ish million followers in the space of a year, which is pretty rare. Very rarely does somebody get that big that quickly. He continued to involve the whole family in his videos, calling his wife Liver Queen and naming...
Oh, honey.
You're going to change your tune on that one in a second, because he calls Rad and Stryker the Liver Boys.
Not
Now,
liver princes. That's okay.
That's a lateral move from their original names, I will say that. Unfortunately, he also chose to have them style their hair like Hitler Youth Cadets, and he put them in...
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh, good. We got another one. I don't even know how to describe this video to you. I'm just going to have them play it.
Primals want to know if the liver boys eat just like Liver King. Well, here's your answer.
Okay, hold on.
Out.
Hey everyone, Robert again, just going to describe this video for you as well. We see the Liver King and the Liver Queen walking towards their swimming pool in the heat of the day, where the liver boys have like a table thing floating over the pool filled with gigantic raw, like probably 20 pounds worth of raw organs, and they're in the swimming pool in their swimming suits and nothing else, just like tearing into it with their teeth. It's profoundly unsettling.
Hold on.
Now, that's got to be child abuse legally, right? Like,
Thank you. Deeply unsettling child abuse.
yeah.
We are so close to
look,
game bingo.
you can't. It's not good for you to eat raw
No,
organs that are
that's
sitting in the
horrible.
heat. He
On
lives
so
in
many
Austin. He is in a swimming pool. It's got to be like 110 right now.
No, that's not hygienic. It is not okay. And like this whole concept of like how he speaks, it sounds like he's struggling when he talks.
He doesn't
It's
talk like that
exhausting.
normally. He's doing an Alex Jones in the same way that Alex Jones is doing a Rush Limbaugh. It's actually kind of a... There's a fascinating story there in how all of these accents have descended from the Limbaugh. That's like the original like right-wing influencer, and they all just kind of, amazing stuff. So... he starts that video, if you couldn't hear it, by promising to provide proof that his boys eat like the Liver King. But thanks to those leaked emails, we know that the Liver King himself did not actually eat that way. As part of the intake process with one of these consultants, he gave his schedule and diet. And it is certainly not like what most people eat as a diet, but it's also not particularly weird. Nearly all of the food he consumes comes in the form of protein shakes and yogurt, with some eggs and reasonable portions of cooked red meat. He does eat 2 to 4 ounces of raw liver per day and a dose of raw bone marrow every day, which is a little bit odd, but he claimed in his interviews with these influencers that he was eating a pound of raw liver every day, which is an amount that would make you sick. That's too much vitamin A. It's bad for you. Do not eat a pound of raw liver. Don't eat 2 to 3 ounces of raw liver. Liver's a lovely food to eat cooked.
I study liver. I love liver as an organ. I would never eat anything close to that amount of liver.
Oh, that is a shame, because I did bring a pound of raw liver for you to
it's
eat
a
on
special
stage.
night.
Yeah. So, obviously, the whole Liver King persona is a lie. Eating the way that this guy pretended he eats would, if not kill you, seriously injure you in a very short period of time. His entire persona was fake. And a lot of people picked up on this, and from the jump, there were people in his comments suggesting that he was obviously on gear, right? Like he is on a hell of a lot of steroids. Here's just one video of him denying that he takes performance-enhancing drugs, or PEDs, on the, I'm so sorry, Barstool Sports podcast. Again, very sorry.
All these ridiculous accusations. People say I take PEDs. People say I have ab implants.
Wait. Can we be honest? Like you definitely take PEDs.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna be on for the. I'll be
All right,
honest.
here we go.
I take PEDs.
I know, it's amazing.
I prioritize, execute, and dominate every fucking morning. Every morning.
I
Let me
take
finish this.
PEDs. I pray every day.
So we both fucking take PEDs.
Here we go.
The whole world should
I take PEDs. I'm on Winstrol.
Don't know much a whole lot about that, but people say the same thing. I got ab implants, right? Or ab etching. I got hair.
You can get ab implants?
Looking at ab implants right now, they look pretty good.
I might have to get it.
Wait, the third image result on ab implants is you.
This is good. I love it.
Wait, hold on. That's so fucking good. That's so smart. What he did was he was like, people say I did X, which is a little bit weird, and then they also say I did Y, which is super duper weird. Like, that was so smart for him to throw in ab implants. Like, just to throw, like, everyone off the scent, just to be like, this is, like, it's distracting. It throws people off, like, the main trail. He's a clever guy.
You don't get to where the Liver King got without having a little bit of cunning.
Fucking took my title.
Yep, he sure did. He earned it. Look. So, Yeah, that's pretty fun. Now, one of the first people to call him out in a major public way was actually Joe Rogan. And look, normally, if we are talking about health on this show and Joe Rogan comes up, he is not a good guy. But in this case, look, I will say one thing for the man. He's an expert at knowing who's on steroids. If Joe Rogan says a dude is on fucking gear, he's probably right. I trust Joe Rogan to know that.
Can't believe I didn't have Joe Rogan on this. I'm so sorry.
No, he is not in the wrong. He called the Liver King out immediately. And it's very funny because when you watch videos of the Liver King responding to Joe Rogan saying he's definitely, I think Joe's exact words were he has an ass full of steroids. When someone interviewed the Liver King about it, his response was almost unrestrained glee. He didn't care that Rogan said he was a fraud. What mattered was that Joe had mentioned him. And that's sensible because, right, his entire business is, I want to get in as many people as possible, right? I want everyone looking at my shit, and some number of them are going to buy my weird organ supplements. And that's what actually matters. So, through late 2022, the Liver King escalated his stunts, traveling to a series of exotic locations to hunt with native tribes. This is always what he calls them. If you want to appropriate some culture, the Liver King is the king of cultural. I've never seen it done this well. And by well, I mean very badly. So he posts these little 20-minute YouTube videos, and I think he was hoping they were going to be like a backdoor pilot to getting a TV show deal, right? And he was going to go travel the world eating with native tribes, as he calls it. The problem is, I don't think the Liver King actually knows how to hunt, and all of these videos are supposed to be him hunting with people. Now, I'm basing the fact that I don't think he knows how to hunt on the video Sacred Hunt, which the Liver King filmed on his own 500-acre ranch in Texas. The video shows him hunting a deer with Rad or Striker, I forget which one. But the kind of hunting they're doing is the kind that you can do when you have So if you have a bunch of land, right, in large parts of the country, including Texas where he lives, white-tailed deer in particular are overpopulated. And so you can kind of just hunt as many deer as you want on your own land. And one way that people particularly, I knew a lot of folks who were poor, but they had like family land or something, and a big way they would supplement their diet is by hunting deer. And you just like leave out some apples or something like that, and you shoot them. It's not particularly sporting, but they are a species. We've killed their native predators and whatnot. You know, it's a thing. That said, it is not what most people would call hunting, right? What he does is even less hunting than that because he is on his own land and he has 3 guides who are there to help him find the deer and flush it out so he can shoot it at long range with a rifle. Now look, that's not really hunting. But okay. To make things grosser, the guide that he hired is, I actually don't know if the guide is an indigenous person. They don't make that claim. I don't know much about this person. I was not able to find much.
I'm
but
already getting uncomfortable.
I'm going to play this clip. It is rough, Kaveh. This is bad.
Hold on. That's what we deer piss? What's he like?
No. Well, I mean, for one thing, if you're actually, if you're hunting to the point where you have to like stalk an animal, you don't want to smell like stuff. Like, for example, burning sage.
First of all, I like that the dude looked like he was Middle Eastern. Like he was
I don't know. I'm not going to make a claim.
He wasn't even like Native American. He was just like, he's one of my people, just like out there, just being like, here's some falafel.
He's making money.
You're ready to go.
I will tell you that. And
put the baba ganoush on you. Now go hunt the deer.
The way they hunt, they're just like walking through the woods, and then the guy stops him, and he says, I'm going to send one of my guys to flush the deer out, and you shoot it when the deer runs out. And it's, again, not... Yeah. Look, that's a perfectly reasonable way to get meat. It's not necessarily hunting. It's not a sacred hunt.
Bear Grylls would do better than that. That's the bare minimum. I agree.
So... obviously, this is all very, very fun. Now, it's also kind of worth noting that that guide, you could see it in some of the clips, is a lot taller than him. The Liver King usually doesn't let himself be filmed next to other men who are taller, but the truth is he's 5'7", which is fine, but it's really funny that he puts, when you watch 30 hours of his videos like I have, there's like 2 or 3 times where he's next to a dude because he doesn't want people to see that.
This really highlights how much I worry about you sometimes, though.
Well,
like the
look,
amount of
and here's
footage
what I'm
of
gonna say.
shit
Here's what I'm
you,
going to
like,
say.
see.
If you really want to be the liver king, then be a short liver king.
Yeah.
Be a short king. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with
Short
that.
kings.
Perfectly honorable.
Short kings.
Anyway.
Here, there's some of you out there. I know it.
So, after this video, he goes all over Africa and South America to film himself watching other people hunt and then eating organ meat, often meat that like they don't have enough of because they're like, yeah, it's grody. In one interview with BuzzFeed, here's how he described the experience. When you hang out with primitive culture tribes, that's his words. Look, that's his words. I know it's bad. Who don't know how to open a bottle of water or even know what a phone is. It's rough. You are seeing people laugh more than you ever have in your life. In the Amazon, my cameraman was hit with an arrow at his chest during a hunt. He wasn't injured, but you know how hard those hunters laughed? They laughed at everything. Everything is so hilarious to them. They were trying to kill you, Brian. Because you're a dick. Also, they know how to open bottles of water, and I'm gonna guess most of them have smartphones. I've been to, like, every refugee camp I have, people have phones. It's not uncommon. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Johnson remained evasive when asked how he was able to enter indigenous communities. It takes some finessing to let us come in, but you know how it is. So...
No, I don't, Brian.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, I'm going to tell you. So this is all very racist. It's also untrue. All of the tribes that Liver King visited have access to water bottles and, again, smartphones. BuzzFeed seemed mystified at how he arranged these embeds, but like 30 seconds of Googling made it obvious. It turns out that a lot of people who are members of like hunter-gatherer tribes in these parts of the world are desperately poor in modern terms, and you can sometimes pay money to go hunt with them because they need money to survive. And so this is a thing that you can just kind of buy your way into doing. This is the case with the Hadza tribe, who he visited last year. And I want to play you a segment from that video first.
The Hadza, the wild Bushmen. They don't cultivate anything.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what we're doing now, is we are going to hang out with the Hadza.
No, he does not wear
No
shirts.
shirts. Never had a shirt on.
We'll talk about that in a second. Notice how many times he puts his hand on a fucking tree. There's like 4 in this video. I'm gonna do it again in just a second. There he goes.
So much tree touching.
So, for several minutes that is rough. Several minutes Googling found 2 different companies that offer travel experiences with the Hadza, starting at $2,000 to $3,000 per person to go out and hunt with them. And again, nothing again, they're trying to survive in a world that is incredibly difficult and that is made their lives a lot harder and is consistently encroaching on the land that they used to hunt on, that's polluting it, that's making it a lot harder for them to live the way that they used to live. You know, get what you can out of guys like the Liver King. I'm just trying to say, there's nothing mysterious about how he arranged these embeds. This is a thing that tourists do actually all the time. I found a 2020 account from a guy named Max Waugh, who paid for the same experience as the Liver King. Here's what he wrote afterwards. In the moments following our departure from the Hadzabe camp in the subsequent months and years, I've re-examined our experience with the tribe and sometimes questioned what we saw. How much of it was a genuine experience? How much was staged? Before we left, they tried to sell us their bows, arrows, and bead trinkets. Tempting, but I wasn't sure if we'd be able to get a bow and arrow set through customs. The next day, as we drove through a nearby town, we saw 2 of the boys walking around in t-shirts. The day before, the men had all been decked out in ragged shorts and little else. Maybe some beads and animal hides, but no shirts. Had they dressed down for our visit? Even today, I wonder if we were getting a genuine look at the Hadza way of life, or if most traces of Western influence were carefully tucked away when tourists were around. And like, yeah, man, like that's why you paid $3,000 to hang out with them for a day. It's a business. Yeah.
They put on a show for you. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
that's
that's how they're making a living right now.
Yeah.
And the Liver King is pretending that like they're living the ancestral way that he did. And one of the things you might notice is that, because he goes and he hunts with them and then they all eat organ meat together. And if the thing that he was doing worked the way he says it is, there would not be a gigantic size discrepancy between all of them and him. You might notice none of them look like the Liver King because they do not have $15,000 a month to spend shooting HGH into their assholes.
They look healthy because they have like a normal diet.
They look like people who eat like humans.
Vegetables. They're okay.
Not their body weight in human growth hormones. Yes. So, despite being clearly fraudulent, the Liver King's PR blitz worked. By some reports, his ancestral supplements business soared to nearly $100 million a year. He continued to escalate the weird stunts, doing stuff like showing up shirtless outside the Queen's funeral to do bicep curls, which I'm entirely supportive of that. That's based as hell. I'm just going to say it. That's pretty rad. I got nothing against him for that one. Until in December of 2022, a bodybuilding influencer called More Plates, More Dates published an expose on...
I fucking hate all these people.
They're all the worst.
Hate them.
When you have to spend hours watching because you have part of like a lot of the reporting on the Liver King was done by bodybuilding and they're all terrible, but some of them are honest. Like, the guy who exposed him is a guy who's like, yeah, if you want to be a professional bodybuilder, you have to do steroids.
I'm just so worried about you for the amount of time you spent watching bodybuilding videos. Like, there's some part of me that's
Kaveh,
I feel
am
like
I spending $11,000 a month on HGH now? Of course.
Half that.
Of course. No. So this guy, More Plates, More Dates, publishes an expose on YouTube in December 2022 that reveals the King's steroid abuse. The Liver King had sent him an email being like, here's all of the steroids I'm on, what else should I be taking? And this guy, eventually, after months of the Liver King saying, I'm not on steroids at all, was like, well, this guy's a liar, I'm going to expose him.
Are there any other steroids I could fit into this mix?
That is what he's doing. And it's actually, if you watch the video, it's interesting, because this guy is a steroid influencer, but he knows his shit. And he talks about like why he's doing what he's doing. I did find it kind of interesting. But yeah, right after this comes out, everybody's making fun of the Liver King. He goes viral for being a gigantic fraud. And immediately thereafter, the Liver King puts out a video confessing that he'd lied about taking PEDs. And he had a justification that I might call peculiar. Oh boy, y'all aren't ready for this shit.
Primals. I'm making this video to apologize.
I fucking hate this guy.
Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Because I lied. And I misled a lot of people. I've stated that this is a complicated as fuck topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous. And after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous, and I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye. It's been tricky as fuck to navigate. Well, clearly I did it wrong, and I'm here now to set the record straight. Yes, I've done steroids, and yes, I am on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician. Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness to the 4,000 people a day who kill themselves, the 80,000 people a day that try to kill themselves. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life.
Fuck you, man.
So that's pretty bad, right?
Fuck you for bringing him into my life.
That's why he's a bastard. I had to spend $15,000 a month on steroids because people are killing themselves.
I had to teach you. He's Jesus. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Would you call that a persecution complex?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I do love his argument that like if only all of those suicide victims were eating more raw organ meat. I was trying to save lives.
So upset.
It's pretty offensive, right? That's pretty evil. Like, that's actual evil.
That's the first thing he's done that's really upset me.
Yeah.
Really, really. Even more than calling himself
we
Liver
had to
King.
build to it, but that's legitimately evil.
God damn him.
He's a pretty bad person. So this is why I've declared him a bastard. The other stuff is gross and weird and kind of funny, but the reality, and obviously I don't actually have like an issue with people using steroids. Again, I think that performance enhancing and drugs should be completely legal in sports because it's more fun to watch. Look, they're already mortgaging their bodies for money. It's already fucked up on an ethical level. Just not lying about it isn't any worse. Anyway.
For people checking my medical record right now online, I don't agree with the above statements. I do.
I mean, look, there's two kinds of world-class professional athletes. There's the ones who are on steroids and the ones who are on steroids we don't know how to catch with urinalysis tests yet.
Right. Russians, yeah.
But yeah, this is what's actually evil, right? Is the whole thing that he's trying to claim that, like, I am doing this because I think that the health advice I have will stop people from killing themselves, when, as we're about to talk about, the reality is he is contributing to the suicide epidemic in everything that he's doing. And this is where we have to get kind of serious for a minute, because suicidal ideation is hugely correlated with body dysmorphia disorder, something I've dealt with, something that a lot of men and a lot of women deal with. The rate of completed suicide among sufferers of BDD is what one clinical journal that I read described as markedly high. And guess what? The percentage of American men dissatisfied with their own appearance has tripled in the last 25 years. By some accounts, BDD is as common now among men as it is among women. One 2022 study showed that 54% of men in the United States have signs of BDD, compared with 49% of women. The soaring rates of body dysmorphia disorder among young men have a body count, and it has a lot to do with why male suicide rates in the United States are at an all-time high. The explosion of BDD among men is not solely caused by the fact that every single male movie action star and influencer seems to take steroids and spend millions on personal training to look inhumanly jacked, but it is not a non-factor in that. It does play a part in those deaths and in this problem. In 2013, one expert estimated 20% of Hollywood leading men used PEDs, like the Liver King, and today the number is substantially higher. Some male actors have spoken up about this. Channing Tatum, on an episode of The Kelly Clarkson Show, rejected praise for a topless picture of himself in the Magic Mike movies, saying the routine that had given him that body had been made possible because it was unhealthy. Zac Efron, who got into movie star shape for the 2017 Baywatch movie, has admitted to suffering from severe depression due to body image issues afterwards. Those guys played their role in the problem too, but they've also clearly made an effort to grapple with what is happening to them and what happens to young men as a result of Hollywood's relentless need to serve us male role models who are not muscular in a way that human beings can become naturally. The Liver King, knowing all of this, made inspiring a generation of eating disorder victims his business, and so did the sick fucks at the 1DS Collective. Now, I could go on a lot more of a rant here, but this is a nice time night, and we don't need to do that. So instead, I'm going to close from a clip from last year's Liver King Christmas video. And I need to explain what's happening in this video to you, because it's going to look like unhinged nonsense otherwise. So the Liver King has a chef, and since he mostly eats raw organs, I don't know how much chefing is involved, but he does have a chef who seems to live on his compound in Austin with him. And for the holiday one year, this chef created a Christmas tree of raw organ meats and other raw meats, which it's very funny. The whole, it was set up that he's gonna have friends over, we're doing this dinner, I'm gonna heat the center of this Christmas tree of raw organs and cook it for everybody, but it becomes grosser and grosser over time, and without saying so, they give up, and it makes, after the point that we watch, you guys are gonna see this fucking thing, it disappears from the video, and they just pretend it was never there, and he serves them a normal meal, and just watch and keep an eye on this fucking chef's face.
To our Christmas tree. You want to make sure not to overcrowd your Christmas tree whenever you're putting on ornaments. So you want to kind of spread these out evenly. Also use the ornaments as an opportunity to hide any bald spots that may or may not be on your tree.
That man is dead inside. Oh, that's the Liver King.
That's fucking horrible, man.
It's so good. It's so good.
Fuck
Except
that
for
guy.
all of the bad stuff. It's pretty good.
Is he still like a thing?
Yeah, he's doing videos. I've watched his most recent. He's claiming now that he's like 2 weeks clean from steroids and is like posting his body. No, of course not. He's lying. But it also, one of the things that's really funny, because he got exposed by like these grind set influencer bodybuilding YouTube channels, and they all were really critical of him, but they all are critical of him because they're like, well, his message is really good. And it's like, well, no, it's not.
No.
His message is nonsense.
Yeah.
His message is like, you should eat raw meat and work out 5 hours a day, which is like not a thing that people can do.
So I'm sorry. So his connection was to those pills that he made clearly.
That's where he makes his money.
He makes his money.
Yeah.
Like, is he from what we know, like wealthy because of it?
Yes, he's made a shitload of money. This guy's made so much more money than I don't know. Let's say any ER doctor you'll ever meet.
Oh God, that's not saying much. But
yeah.
Because they're fucking ER. Are there any ER doctors in here? Good, because they suck.
Fuck
No,
'em.
I'm just kidding. I love ER doctors. But it does frustrate me on such a deep level that like I could use this. We could. Listen,
we could make a lot of money.
Can we just
doing
talk
this.
right now for real business? Sidebar.
You guys don't listen to this.
Sidebar real
Don't
quick.
listen to this.
Between my GI hepatology background, your understanding of how bastards work, we could make a shit ton of money with some sort of supplement, like it would be like a ram dick or something.
Yeah, we
have to
gotta
use some
find
sort
something
of
that's like cheap because it gets thrown away, and we can just convince people to take. Horse piss.
Horse piss.
Horses are pissing all the time, and nobody's monetizing that shit.
Have you seen how strong horses are?
Do you want to run faster?
Do you want
Horses
to be
run
stronger?
faster than you. I'm sorry, they do. But that power can be yours if you drink their piss.
Fucking horse piss.
Yeah.
Or Gatorade. We'll just call it Gatorade or something like that. Yeah. Fucking, it's beautiful.
I'll go hunt with somebody and then pretend that I killed the animal because I drank enough piss. It'll be great.
For fun, just before we close up, if you like music, right? I like music. You like music?
No, like Andrew Tate and the Amazon guy. I've never understood the power of music.
The Amazon guy. Okay.
I forgot his name briefly. Sorry.
You like different genres of music. If you were to make this like epic into like a musical song, what kind of musical would it be? Would it be?
Well, there's actually only one genre I think is really music,
What's that?
and it's ska. But yeah.
Thank you. Fuck yeah.
Oh, did I get you one? There we go.
Who wants it?
Now, listen,
I hope that didn't
folks,
stab anyone in when I threw that. Is everyone okay? Okay, thank you.
We got a couple of minutes left. And this is our first live show since, I don't know, a couple of things went wrong since the start of 2020 when I was last in here. This is our first live show in a while. We're not live in the studio anymore, and so there's a couple of bits that are beloved among the fans that we haven't gotten to do for a while. But we have that opportunity. Could somebody please bring their bagels up to here? Oh, wow.
There's really bagels.
Yeah. Yes, please. Oh, thank you. Perfect. So, first off, we have, this is just one of my favorite machetes. It's a CRKT machete. One of the best batoning machetes you're ever going to have. Really good for splitting wood. Good for waving when you're drunk, too, to like make point.
Stay away from me, man.
It's not even that sharp, so it'll just make a rough gash.
It's really sharp.
Come on.
Okay.
And then this is so I have a story with this knife. It's amazing. Look at that. American flag, fake Jims, perfect knife. So I got this. This is a Bud K original. Some of you know how special that is.
Who the fuck knew what a Bud K original was?
A hero.
Fuck, I'm watching you, man.
I get packages from fans from time to time. And about 2 years ago, I got a package that was like 30 of the worst knives you've ever seen in your life. And a note where someone was like, "Hey, Robert, big fan of the pod. Liked you for years. My dad started to lose his mind a couple of years ago. And I don't know why, but the thing he did was repeatedly order knives from the Bud K catalog. There was a huge room full of these terrible knives when he died, and we sold the ones that we could to help pay for the funeral. I have given you all of the ones we couldn't sell. Now, my favorite knife in this bunch is, like a normal folding pocket knife. Everyone's familiar with the broad shape. It's that, but it's a foot long and it weighs 4 pounds. And it is, my friends and I, we call it the big-titted angel knife because there's a drawing of an angel with very large breasts on it. Now, I would have taken it here, but it cannot fly because you can't really close it. It is terribly dangerous. The blades are just swinging around. But this knife was reasonably safe to fly with. So, Kaveh, why don't you take the good machete, and I'll take the too sharp for safety
Jesus Christ.
American knife. Again, Bud K original, everybody. All right. Kaveh, are you familiar with the rules?
Remind me.
It's like normal tennis, which I don't know. All right. Love serving 0. Ah! Wow, that went better than I thought. All right, hit me.
Okay.
That's 1, though, for me. Terrible, unbelievable. Okay, that one did some damage. All right.
One for you? All right, no, good.
Okay. We'll get one more of these, and then we won't do any more because I don't want to cause too many problems for the cleanup.
If you fucking stab me with this knife, I'm going to be so upset.
Stab someone with a knife. All right. Love serving knife. I got you right in the sternum.
Good.
Yeah. All right. I think I won. All right. Let's all get a round of applause for the cleanup crew. We'll try to deal with as much of this as possible.
Thank you. I'm so sorry.
All right. Now, we've got 4 minutes, so I think we have time to answer 1 or 2 questions. You want me to do my Boston accent?
Could you put it in the form of a question, though?
What does my Boston accent sound like? Is that the question I heard? Well, oi, I'm from Boston, I am. Sophie loves this accent. I send all of my work messages to her. Hey, Sophie, we're getting sued by the Liver King.
Wait. Did you ever watch The Leprechaun when you were younger?
Of course.
Can you do The Leprechaun?
No.
Please.
That's cultural appropriation.
Oh, you're right.
I will not be a part of it. Specifically Leprechaun, huh? What's that?
Who owns the Child Sex Island?
Who owns the Child Sex
Island?
Island?
The Child Sex Island.
Oh,
Can you really own Blue Apron's Child Sex? Well, it's not even it's for eating. Hunting, which is ethical. I mean, there are a couple of child sex islands, but look, if you are hunting children for sport and you don't, it's nose to tail, right? Like that's the ethical thing to do. So you want to get, especially since, Kaveh, as I understand it, stem cells have medical properties. Kids are full of stem cells,
I'm
right?
mostly focused on how different your crowd is than my crowd.
Well, my crowd's really interested in good healthcare advice.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's fair.
So, what? It's Blue Apron. I don't know. I think
that's going to be beeped out in the.
Pretty soon we're going to find
podcast.
there's got to be at least like 1 or 2 other Epstein Islands out there.
Oh my God! There's a whole archipelago. What's it called?
Archipelago. Every time I say archipelago, people yell at me.
Archipelago. Yeah. Right.
Which you're all being pedants. But I think you're correct, Kaveh. Yeah.
Where did you get your hoodie?
It's from Heroin Mart. So this is a good hoodie. This is like a drug users collective somewhere in Canada. And this was as part of a fundraiser. And I got it because it's fun to wear in the TSA line. But also, I'm broadly supportive of the message after everything going on in Atlanta right now in particular. Speaking of which, our own Garrison Davis has been on the ground, and it's a pretty fucked up night in Atlanta. So if you've got cash to burn, their bail fund, I'm sure, is going to be looking for some of it, because all of those people are getting charged with domestic terrorism, which is, it's a real problem. It's ugly as shit. Nothing says terrorism like breaking a bank window.
For those listening,
those ISIS guys were shooting at me, thinking, boy, this is almost as scary as seeing a bank window get broken.
For those listening at home, his hoodie is a bright yellow hoodie, and there's a smiley face on it, and that's all there is to it. So I don't know. That's in case
incredible bit. Okay, one more question, but make it a really crude one. We only have like 30 seconds. Oh boy, I'm more worried about his heart. Although he does take NAC, so hopefully his liver's fine. That's probably good, right?
No, his liver's a fucking mess. His actual liver is a fucking wreck. His kidneys, too, are probably a wreck.
Yeah.
Cock is fine. I
don't know about that, Kaveh.
I'm just saying it's probably fine.
Rad Johnson and Striker Johnson. Which of those is sillier? Seriously, which is a sillier name? Striker? All right, you know what? Show of hands. Everybody hands up. Is Rad the sillier name? I'm seeing a lot of Rads. Now let's see Striker. Oh, the Strikers have it.
I agree. Rad is a cool name. Rad is a good name for a kid.
Team Striker, very proud of you all for showing up. Team Rad, you got to get out the vote. You got to register more people next time. All right, this has more or less been a podcast. Thank you all for showing up, and have a Liver King full night. Remember his teachings, you know. Eat Christmas trees, buy organ meat, take $15,000 of steroids every month of your life.
Or, hear me out,
okay.
Eat mostly a plant-based diet with some meat and cheese and stuff to ornament it and enjoy your life.
Kaveh.
I have a fucking machete. Who the fuck said that? Who booed me? I know, right. It's the guy over there that guy. I got you.
Like, I'm going to say $3,500 a month. That's a normal amount of steroids.
That's healthy.
Yeah, that's healthy, right? That's what most doctors will advise. No, I'm actually going to guess Lance was in.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Lance and I actually have a lot in common. He's another Plano boy. One of the things I always appreciated about Lance Armstrong, outside of the problematic aspects of his career, is that he called my hometown a soulless pit, which is true. Not in an accurate way. And it's one of those things, there's basically three famous people from Plano. There's on the lower level me, and then on the higher level, there's Lance Armstrong and Alan Tudyk, a.k.a. Wash from Firefly.
Yeah.
So, one of us was not a monster. Not a great record for Plano.
K9 from Rogue One. That's the guy.
That's it. That's the guy.
Yeah,
that's less of a touchstone.
That's a lot to live up to, man.
Firefly,
that's a lot to live up to.
I assume he did other things in his career.
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, just those two. All right. Well, you can't stay here, but you got to go home. Something like that. Thank you all for coming. This has actually been a really nice experience. I have missed being able to do the live shows, so it's lovely that we got to all get back together. And it's nice every time we hear that like a show has sold out. That always makes everybody feel better. It is kind of a weird job, like just reading about terrible people and then damaging someone's mental health over a Zoom call. So getting to see that I'm also harming all of your health is what makes it all worthwhile. So please continue having whatever problem leads you to listen to this podcast every single week. But seriously, thank you all so much. You've been a lovely audience. And all I can say is eat as much raw liver as humanly possible.
Don't do that.
Kaveh and I are now going to try to clean up some of the bagel shrapnel so that we cause as little of a problem as possible for the nice people at this theater. Thank you all.
Behind the Bastards is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.